This is not your normal discussion where we talk all about the hard topics uncensored. This is not your normal discussion. This is not your normal discussion.
Hi, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of Not Your Normal Discussion. I am your host, Queen Pedii.
I'm Nina.
Tryst.
I'm sure.
Okay, so today we are going to be touching on the topic of Astroworld and the tragedy that has happened down in Texas. That's our first topic. So I just want to say that, my condolences to the families of everybody that has passed and gotten hurt. It's a sad event, but there's so much that actually went wrong with they didn't let the fire chief come through twice. They denied him twice to be able to do a walkthrough. I don't know if you guys read that or not.
Yeah.
I read about the firefighters.
Yeah. But I'm gonna say the conspiracy theories about it's satanic and all that, it's not true, because I'm gonna be honest, I've been in a situation where the concert had a lot of people and everybody's pressed and pushing, and it'll make you feel a little claustrophobic, and it's a lot of pressure on your body and stuff, so you will faint if it's just too much. And that was 50,000 people, but they started off wrong. People busting through gates trying to get in, not even paying or showing their tickets and stuff. And I remember somebody was like, well, why did you go through the gate like that? He said, I just really wanted to see Travis Scott. I'm like, okay, but you have to wait in line and get your tickets.
Not if they're a wild one.
You said what?
Not if they're a wild one.
Man, obviously they're wild. But yeah, it's an unfortunate incident. And the fact that the girl came up on the stage and did tell the people, hey, somebody is dying down there. Somebody's dead down here. And they just were like, get off the stage, get up. They didn't even care. And then,
all right, so hold on.
Go ahead.
We gotta clear that misconception up.
Mm-hmm.
There's multiple videos from multiple angles of Travis Scott actually stopping his show before this happened because someone had fainted in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
That's first. Secondly, people were forcibly drugged. Someone actually was injecting people. That's originally how everything kicked off. Someone was injecting people without their knowledge with a drug, and it made people start lunching out and hallucinating. That's where the stampeding came. So it's not that they didn't care.
Stage.
Yeah,
that's what and they push.
Because they were already trying to control the situation. They didn't know that it was getting as bad as it was.
Mm-hmm.
When
somebody comes up and says, hey, you need to stop the show because somebody's dead down here.
No, he said stop the show. He actually, Travis Scott said this himself on stage. There's a whole video of him doing this, again, from multiple angles. Please, hold on, y'all. There's somebody down there fainting. Get out the way. Let security through. They need to help her. She just fainted. He really stopped his show. They were trying to paint a narrative that he didn't, but he stopped his show before this kicked off. But someone had they got her out, but at this point, someone had already started injecting people with drugs. That's where the stampeding comes from. There were 9 people killed because of this situation. The last person just died today. Her mother had to go on the news after thinking that her child was going to be okay. It was like, man, at least I don't have to go through that pain. She had to watch her daughter die.
Yeah.
They're all trying to put this blame on Travis Scott. But ain't no one trying to bring any charges against whoever was sticking people with needles. Because there's multiple accounts of people saying I was injected with a drug. There's nobody trying to investigate any of the other situations. They're just trying to say it's Travis Scott's fault because he didn't see in a crowd of people while he's already dealing with the situation. Someone way, way in the back doing some shit, kicking off a stampede. In the dark, in the smoke, while everybody's hot. Like how can you blame him? The only thing that I say to me, which might be a conspiracy theory, is that because there's no media press about the person that was sticking people with drugs, that I think that somebody in this camp did that to spark media news about this situation. And it kind of just went left field. And I think that they're trying to sweep the stampede under the rug or the details of the stampede to, when he drops his album, bolster his album sales. Because with all this death he walks away from it, the first thing all his fans are going to want to hear is what he feels in his music after what is about to be the death of Astroworld.
Well, this wouldn't even be the first time that somebody got hurt at his shows. I mean, somebody got partially paralyzed at, I think it was the Astroworld like 2 years ago now.
Yeah, permanently paralyzed.
You said
Yeah, permanently
no, partially as in like part of the body, not.
Yeah.
I mean, once you're paralyzed, that's it. You know, well, sometimes that's it, but not all the time.
Well, yeah, but he's disabled on some level because of, he told him to jump from a 2-floor balcony, just like he at this concert told somebody to jump from a tree. And Travis Scott has a long history of being negligent in this type of way, where he had a manager who had an epilepsy in front of him, who he just walked out on. He's had multiple people be injured in the past. And when we talk about karma, for example, we often think of it as like the universe is lurking to get you, instead of what normally happens, where because you got in a lot of situations before where you just got slaps on the wrist, like he's paid out fines and pled guilty for being negligent, and then continued the same negligent behavior, and then told people to, you know, hey, we're gonna sneak the wild ones in, even though we're sold out for a show that has like 20, 25, 30,000 more people than the last time we did this show. Like, and it's not just on Travis Scott. Like, we're in the middle of like everyone from Apple Music, Live Nation, the security forces, the private police and firefighters that they had there. All of them are responsible on different levels. Emily D. Baker does a great video on YouTube talking about the different levels of culpability different people probably could face in lawsuits because of all this. But yeah, on multiple different levels, everyone failed. And that's because we are rushing to make money in a pandemic. We're still in a pandemic. We're rushing to make money from missing shows and everything in 2020. Imagine if people were social distancing in the middle of this concert. We might not have the stampede that we have. Imagine if like Travis Scott and the rest of the performers gave a fuck and then go to Dave and Buster's and then didn't have to wake up and, oh my God, what happened? Like, niggas might believe him a little bit better if he pulled off a Kyle Rittenhouse and was like, I can't believe no one died on my show. Like, niggas might believe it more if he did that. And then with the conspiracy theories of either the needlepoint person, like his team is trying to lean into that, like to rub off culpability. And then the other conspiracy theories about Illuminati and all that. We haven't had a good Illuminati theory in a long time as a people. But I will say, like I was saying before, if you play into demonic imagery, if you have inverted crosses in your stage and portals to hell and a shirt that shows people walking through a doorway and becoming demons on the other side with a thing that says see you on the other side, if you play into Illuminati shit and demonic imagery and then people die at your show and 300 people are injured at your show, then like
you sell a million records on your next album.
Yeah. And I get those of us who want to defend Travis Scott because like we know how it is at hood shows. Like for us, we are niggas. Niggas get shot every day, right? But this isn't like when you play into getting white fans and a white fan base and you want that white money, when people get hurt, now you have to deal with white liabilities. This is not like 50 Cent on stage and his old gang coming up and they throwing chairs at each other on Summer Jam or whatever set. This isn't Troy Ave or Taxstone shooting at each other in a club and like niggas like that's what it is. Niggas get shot. Like you have Kylie Jenner and the rest of her family there posting about all the shit and niggas jumping on ambulances. If you want white people's money, you can't continue to be this nigga negligent and ignorant, or else when shit happens and the shit gets bigger than you ever thought it would, that liability is gonna fall on you.
I mean, do you really think it's getting big for him? Like, he's not sweating it as much as people would think that you would after you essentially just had a murder house at your event.
And I think that's a problem too. Like, he doesn't look like he cares at all.
And then this is why I say this is how it comes into him saying we want to sell a bunch of. He had to sneak people in his own event. Fuck the fact that it was being sold out. If you can sneak in, you in for free. That's because he knew this event is not really going to be popping without something happening. He just thought maybe the wild thing, sneaking people in might be cool. All right, yeah, everybody here, but it's not as lit as I wanted to. I need to turn this crowd up. I have people that have drugs. Maybe I can poke a few people up, see if I can make shit happen. It works little too well.
But if he did do something like that, then whether or not Illuminati, this, that, the other, that's still demonic. That's still evil. That's still love of money.
It's an Illuminati thing. I don't even think it's purely a satanic thing. I just think someone like him strikes me as being exactly who he is in his music. He's a person. He's open about his heavy use of cocaine. Mm-hmm. He's heavy.
Got too tough, but
heavy use. It is all over his music. It is in the way. He is in love with cocaine. Side note: so is Bruno Mars in The Weeknd, but they make great music, so it's cool.
Is he still?
Well, they also don't get niggas dead at their shows too.
Yeah, but see, no, okay, we're gonna. That's a whole different topic.
But I think. Oh, okay. So the cops had to backtrack because they first put out that the guy, the security guard, was it a security guard or a bodyguard?
I think it was a security guard with the
security guard had gotten injected and they had to give Narcan and all that. And turns out, no, he got busted in his head. So, and then there's a video of while everything is happening, the cops are just standing there filming.
Yeah.
Doing their damn job. And that's why the firefighters had to come in and do the damn job.
You know why they backed out?
It's a lot of weirdness going on with the whole entire situation. And the Kardashians have taken Travis Scott out of the new show they were doing. I don't follow the Kardashians. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, it was something crazy.
So, he said something crazy. But yeah, I don't know whatever show they were doing. They've taken him out of it. He's not going to be performing in Saudi Arabia. Like he's going to start feeling this stuff. Saudi Arabia, they
mark my words. Mark my words. When he drops his album, he's going to do Donda CLB numbers. But he's not worried about they told him already. It was like, look, when this happens, I'm going to tell you why they had to backtrack. Because there were private police there. There were people there that were paid by Travis Scott and his team to look the other way. So when their superiors say, okay, can you tell us what happened? Because we got 8 people dead and these are white children. And this nigger killed them. His event killed these white children. These not
really. I feel like it was like mostly Hispanic people, and they're the Indian woman and Black people that actually
these non-niggers. We're gonna get a lot of. If it was just straight niggas, straight Daquans and Safidas, they would not even have gave a fuck. But the moment you get an Esmeralda, a Rose, anything that ain't non-Black. Okay, now we got people on my ass. We got the foreign people asking us what's going on. We need answers. Can't really tell you because we got a lot of money for it. It went to the police station because of course they funded the police station. It came to the police station. So somebody said somebody got stabbed. We can say one of the security guards. Security guards probably said no, and then they had to pass the story around to other people. But there were actually regular people that said I was drugged in there. I knew. I just believe that Travis Scott and his team orchestrated this. But
if they did, that sounds Illuminati-ish.
And they need to go
but I also I also don't think. I think that he's going to be the fall guy. He wasn't the mastermind, and that's why I'm like everyone's focused on Travis Scott. Why there's all of this other shit going on, but everyone's like it's Travis Scott. It's his fault. He needs to be canceled. But you got all these people over here.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. All these people are different levels of culpable.
Man,
that's why I'm not too mad at Travis Scott. That I don't blame him for what happened. But the people that were there and that were supposed to keep these people safe, they are to blame. Because when I saw the video of them just standing there like with their phones out instead of doing their damn job, they should have been doing their job, and then denying access to be able to walk through to the fire chief. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
What's gonna happen?
Fire chief needs to know how to get in there. What's the easiest route to be able to get to that stage if something did happen? And something happened. Like, and they couldn't even figure out how to really get. It's a lot.
Once those families start suing the government that was a part of this situation, that's when you probably gonna see some real heat fall on Travis Scott. But until they realize that they have to target someone else, because targeting Travis Scott, all it's gonna do is I'm gonna give some money to this foundation. I'm gonna hold a charity event. I'm gonna do some shit with the kids. I'm gonna give the family a couple $100,000 a piece or something, and I'm gonna get that all back on taxes, so I'm not even worried about it. I'm gonna do a little bit of community service. I'm good. Okay. But if they were to start saying, okay, we're going to sue the fire department because the fire chief was there and he didn't do his job. We're going to sue the security company that worked for the place that Live Nation owned to throw this event. We're going to also sue the state and city. Well, not the state, the city that we're in, because the city failed to keep my child safe. Then they're going to say, okay, look, Travis Scott, you're going to have to do some time for this. That's the only way he's going to get punished. They have to actually target the government because he's powerful. As much as I hate to say it, Travis Scott has smart people around him. He probably puts money into his city in such a way that he can get. That's why he keeps getting away with the shit he gets away with, because he has his city in his pocket. Most people in his position, that would be the smartest thing to do anyway. Pay off the city, keep the city in your pocket. You don't have a lot of issues. You have 8 deaths at your event, and the worst you get is a slap on your wrist.
I just feel bad. No, it's okay. No, I feel bad for the little boy, the little 9-year-old that fell off his father because of basically he passed out. I feel bad because, like, how do you not see a little boy on the ground? Like,
why did you have your little boy there?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of little kids there. Like, we have a dead 10-year-old.
Astroworld. Why would you have your children?
There's no babysitter.
Well, why are so many people sign up for a concert in a pandemic, though? Like, people have been sent home and they want to be out partying.
I get people being that stupid. If you want to be that stupid, I don't even like I didn't like crowded settings before the pandemic. So the pandemic was heaven for me. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to leave. I do want it to get better. So don't say I want COVID. I don't want to say I want COVID to stay around, but I like the isolation. But if you're going to be in that environment, you're already risking COVID. It is drugs and naked women and sometimes naked men everywhere.
Well, let me just say this. The reason why kids were there is because kids are on the poster and it does say for all ages. So that is why people thought, hey, I can bring the child here. But that is just the dumbest thing, because like my parents would have never brought me to something like that. Like I didn't even go to my first concert until I was like 14. And that was for sisters only. And that was Sierra, Tony Braxton, Faith Evans. Like, it was
what you weren't doing. You weren't walking around. You weren't seeing a bunch of naked women. You weren't seeing people sniffing cocaine or doing meth or popping pills or doing anything. There wasn't drunk people just stumbling around. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like that. So for sisters only was cool. My first one was the Stone Soul Picnic. I was 15 years old. And it was, lovely. That's all ages. Astroworld, Travis Scott has never made an all-age song. I've never heard him on Disney. Never heard him in a Nickelodeon movie. I've never heard
And
him
they
in
remix
a
the
Cartoon
song for
Network
Kids
movie.
Bop because I want to know.
There ain't no Kids
I'll
Bop.
be honest, I don't know any Travis Scott songs. I don't.
I love Travis Scott's
the
music, but I
antidote.
understand
Huh?
his music is evil as hell. I don't want my children coming to me singing some Travis Scott. Nah, baby,
That's what I'm
no,
saying. You
don't
can't play
do
into that
that.
shit and then it's happening and be like, but I'm not satanic though.
Look, I don't know because I don't know his music. I know he was on the SZA song and it didn't sound satanic to me. So
Oh,
It did
he's a
look kind of
very
satanic
he
for him
makes
to be
some
humming
very
over a
sweet
limp
music.
ass nigga being carried on over people on the stage. Nigga look like he's in rigor mortis.
He listen. He
what
can
is
make some
happening?
very
See,
he can make some very sweet music. His voice is really nice. He does make good music from time to time.
we lost somebody.
Yeah, we lost Karina.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the computer.
Yeah, probably. Her computer probably died. Okay.
But
So yeah, there's in this viral story about these dads down in, correct me if I'm wrong, Shreveport, Louisiana, at the Southwood High School, where about 40 dads gone together and become dads on duty to basically patrol the school and, offer that dadly energy to get kids, in alignment without needing to necessarily rely on cops arresting kids at school, which I love. I hope this continues to spread. Will Smith said that he's going to send kids from that school to go see his movie, which, okay, throw yourself in the PR. But I mean, I hope this gets this school more attention. I hope more schools pick this up because on some ACAB shit, I've never really liked the idea of all these cops in schools who, especially black schools, that primarily focus on, like we already talked last week about how with detentions, with suspensions, with expulsions, that puts kids on that, school to prison pipeline. And they get on that pipeline much faster if they're being arrested for things like fighting, like doing drugs or disrupting class. Like, yes, you need to keep order, and yes, you're gonna need security, especially in our day and age of like mass shootings, school shootings, and all that. But you don't need necessarily cops as much as you need that, community presence to like help foster that sense in the kids that like you're not just being watched by the government, you're not being watched by like the people who will one day be your warden. You're being watched by people who expect better from you because you're from this community and you can't live up to more. So I love what's happening. I hope it continues. We have way too many cops in too many schools, and especially when you're talking about how that puts them on that school to prison pipeline, especially the private prison pipeline where they're making what 4 times as much on a prisoner there. We need to cut that out as much as possible, and more community activity is where it's at. But let me pass it along to you. Queen didn't get to speak much last episode. Let me pass it on to you.
Okay, so for me, this is very, very. I love this idea. I hope it, like you said, I hope it goes everywhere, because at the end of the day, I will be more scared knowing that my best friend's dad is watching us, and they can just tell another parent real quick. Plus, it makes the community a lot closer, and we'll have better. I feel like more money will go towards the school instead of paying for somebody else to be there. Also, it shows that being there for the kids is good. I think it's an overall great idea, and it continues because there's not parents are in kids' lives, some of them, but other times, especially when they get older, you don't know how to keep them in the straight and narrow road. Instead of you want to let them free and independent, but you don't want them to be too independent, too free, because they'll go off the right track, and this could kind of nudge them to continue their studies, continue doing what you're supposed to do instead of go doing drugs and stuff like that they don't need to be doing right now, especially when they become like tweens and teenagers and stuff like that, and they're trying to express themselves, or they're learning new knowledge from their friends that may not be what not Good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so when I was reading up on it, because like I had seen this story like maybe a week ago, and I was like, oh, that is so sweet. Like, I like that. And when I really read into it, I was like, when I saw that they go around the school and give them positive affirmations, I was like, that's what these kids need. Because the cops, they're just there looking at them all gritting and stuff like that. They're not giving them that positivity that
And they give
they're
parents issues
craving.
too.
You said what?
Some of those security guards, it like for my daughter's school, when I went up there in August, there was no students. I was just trying to go to main office,
Mhm.
and I was trying to follow this other parent in, so they don't have to buzz the door twice. The lady told me to get back out, press the button. Yes, press the button, and then tell her what I need. I'm like, I'm going to the main office like the other lady was. You
And
know,
see, that's an issue. They're disrespectful because one, they don't really like their jobs. And I can say that as having been a damn security officer, that shit's boring and it makes you miserable. So I can say from experience, it's not fun. And then when you have to deal with like kids that probably are acting up, and then you're dealing with your life, which probably is not the best
the
because they don't
parents
pay you
time.
that much. You're frustrated, and then you take out your frustration, you slamming kids down and grabbing them by their hair. That's too much. Like, you don't have to do that. But seeing that these people are going around telling them you're doing a great job, keep up the good work. Yeah, that's what they need. They don't need to be told get back in line and go back behind the door like that security officer did to you. If you're an adult, you're not even one of the kids. That's the issue. That's why I'm like, yeah, let this dads on duty thing go around. It needs to, because we need a better
Like
positive,
school
like, what's the word? Damn, positive something.
affirm affirm
Yeah.
affirm
Positive affirmation, affirmative. Yeah.
Influence,
What we
influence,
need is
positive
more.
influence. Huh?
like
Um,
my youngest daughter, her principal knew, he tries to know all the students' name by October.
And that's good.
They
Make them
start
feel
school,
like they're not just a number.
and you know what? He actually remembers every student's name, and not only that, but their siblings. Hey, how's your sister in middle school or in high school? Because that he is actually like, he actually connects with the students. They're not just a number. And I think we need more people in schools like that, especially. That's why I said, like, with the dads being in there, not even just dads, just any parent
Anybody.
being in
Yeah.
there to volunteer and to show the students, hey, we value you going to school. We confirm that you're doing a great job. You may not hear every day or from everybody, but I just saw you. What you did great. Because a lot of students, when they do good things, they want to hear that. They thirst for that. And when they do something really good, they look for you to tell
Give
them,
them that
hey,
credit.
that was good. And when kids don't get that and they keep doing this good, eventually they're like, why am I doing this? Am I even doing it right? You know what? Why do I care? And then they're going to go off the road.
why? All right, so I'm going to play devil's advocate in this situation
Okay.
because I firmly believe in dads on duty. As a father, I genuinely wish I had the time to secure the premises that my children go to during the time that they're supposed to be away from me. And just to make sure they're good, check on them, tell them they're doing a good job. I genuinely wish I could do that. But my only issue lies in the security at the school. As a person that went to school with security, with cops and all of that, I do not like police. But I've always liked my security guards or the cops at the school, even when I was doing bad, because they were community people. They weren't the just fresh on duty. I'm ready to earn my badge. I'm trying to arrest anybody and everybody cop. It would normally be that 56-year-old man that have been in the neighborhood about 20 years on the force. He knows your mom or your aunt, your
Get
uncle.
the record.
I'm saying, I'm like, from experience of people, me and people like me, that's what we remember our security guards in school. We like, when we see them out, we see them in the grocery store when we go home. They're in line with the bank with our grandmama and our mama. Hey, how you doing, Miss Johnson? How you doing, Miss Black? Like, you know what I'm saying? They're them type of people. That's how, but they were also there to protect us. They didn't go around trying to beat on us and arrest us. Now, I do know that happens. I do know that happens. And I don't think that taking them out and taking fathers that could be doing other things to provide and protect for their child, have them up at the school all day and not paying them.
Yeah,
I
I was going to
think
talk about
it's more like,
But is a volunteer, is not.
That's what I'm saying.
But no, I feel where Suge is coming from here, though.
They're not
Listen,
saying you have
Because I
to
feel like
be-
they should get a tax credit or some kind of stipend for what they're doing.
something,
It's a service.
because instead of going to work,
well, no, it's about 40 men, and or is it 40 men?
Yeah, it's 40 men and they
40
work in shifts.
40 active,
They're in
strong.
So
Listen,
I think they're
40
doing it
active,
on their days
strong.
off.
So they're
So
taking
they're not
something.
meant to work. They
So
they
a
work.
5-day, hold on. In a 5-day span, 40 men come to this school.
Yeah.
That means those 40 men have days off within this work week that they can fill up those days with, let's say,
8 a day.
7 people a day. So like seven people a day with 5 extra. 5 days a week.
When it no.
You are getting a lot of days off weekly to be able to.
Well, if that's what they want to do with their days off, or
No,
if they work a night job,
But
they might
listen,
work at
there's
night.
other things.
Or
There's
maybe they don't
other
even
things they can do. There's other things they can do instead of trying to self-police the school, because you got to realize it's not always going to be candy canes and roses just because you're going around saying, "Oh, good job, sonny boy, good job, young brother." That's not always going to solve the situation. What do you think that dad is going to do when that child of theirs and this child, whose dad is also there, ends up getting into a fight?
Well, that's what they're there for, to keep that from happening.
Well, also,
Can't always,
You
can't always stop it. And as a father, no matter how much you want to say, "I'm just going to break it up," if you see your child getting hurt, you will respond differently.
I think that
So you run the risk of these men who are in their child's life. 9 times out of 10 Black, so 9 times out of 10 already have 2 strikes against them for being a Black man with a child, because they're already seen as trash. In there with a lot of understanding that they're there to protect primarily their child.
Well, it seems like
Something
it's
happens.
working though, because there haven't been any fights.
I'm not saying that it wouldn't work. I'm saying in this isolated situation, it is cool, but it is dangerous, because if something were to happen, you put all these children in danger with uninsured, unlicensed, unregulated, uncompensated civilians who could pose a major threat, because there's 40 of them. It goes bad, that's essentially parents everywhere causing mayhem, because it's.
Well, what do you think would happen if the parents see their children fighting? What do you think is going to happen? You don't think that they're going to do their bad?
No, I've seen parents break up a fight with their child, go home and go get a weapon to try to shoot up the situation.
Okay, well, I don't think that's what's.
It happens more often than not.
I understand.
It happens. I don't think
that's the situation.
Like if these are in like white, well-to-do, and I hate to say it like that, but these are in white, well-to-do middle class suburban neighborhoods, yes. But if this is in the projects where anger is the main emotion, where pain is the main emotion, it's only a matter of time that something happens. And if you don't have some sort of actual security force there, it could go really bad, really fast over a misunderstanding.
It can,
We
but I
just seen
mean,
it.
that's yeah.
We just seen it with the child, 17 years old, called a murder case in school. He was getting beat up in school.
Understandable.
Which
And he
I can
shot
understand
that
that too.
boy.
We
Like
talk
I
about
respect
strong
that
men.
more than a kid who's shooting up his entire school because he's bullied.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand. I understand. Like being from where I'm from, I understand that mentality because growing up, there were guns in my school. It was just a known thing. But you take away the security force and you bring the dads in of the kids that got the guns. Where do you think they learn to get the guns from?
Okay.
From the dad. So say is I'm not saying that their dads on duty thing doesn't work because I'm a firm believer in what they are doing. But I do not believe that that means that you should take away some sort of security force. I believe that it should get back to the days of the community officer, not the police that comes around. The community officer used to be one in every black neighborhood. He watched you grow up. He would watch you play basketball or play football with the neighborhood. He knew your mama. He knew your auntie. He went to school with your grandmama. He's on the force for like 3 more years. He's just in the neighborhood. He goes around helping kittens out the tree. That's if we got back to that and those security guards, it'd be a lot easier. You can have the dads on duty and have the security guard.
I do see where you're coming from. Where like, if we moved away from like student resource officers, full on law enforcement in schools, went back to community officers, and like you still had dads on duty and they work together for like situations that go over what the dads could do, I think that would be a perfect situation. And like back in the 1950s, that's what cops were first put in schools for, to like build, of course, in white schools, but still like to build that relationship with the community, with the youth. And then from the 80s with the crime bill and 80s and 90s, you see that increase in like, oh, well, we're actually arresting black kids now. But and like in society, like especially in the hood, like you have that issue of so often we treat everything from homelessness to drugs to violence to things that don't like might need more rehabilitation and might need more actual resources. We treat it with police officers. We treat it with locking more people up. We treat it with more fines than we treat it with something to actually nurture. Like a resource. When we talk about often social, like doing all this, it would also help to increase social workers. But who are you gonna hire just more white people to be social workers, or are you going to have more black people actually understand black youth, don't look down on them? So like you do still need extra people besides the dads. Like Suge does bring up that good point. Like more community officers. Like let's just make sure we're moving away from things that are going to lead to that school to prison pipeline, because a lot of the same people who build our schools are the same people who build our prisons, and it's built like that for a reason. So like the more we can transition back to something that's going to nurture the community, the better it's going to be for all of us. Both
the
for
only way to go
down the
back.
line.
The only way to go back is if they tear down every school and just rebuild schoolhouses. Because the schools are built to be. I've been locked up, and I lie to you not. It was like what I imagined college would be if you mix college and high school. From the way that people act, they act like no matter how old they are, they act, unless they are like really doing some time, they act like teenagers. You spend your day walking around the campus, being told when to eat. Some people have classes, you play gym. You then after everything is done, after high school is done, you go back to your dorm on campus like college. You eat your little food that you get from the cafeteria, order your commissary like they do in college. You're judged by the warden who gives you good grades, who can dictate whether you get out of school / prison faster. And they have armed security guards.
the light bulb has gone off. But no, I'm gonna just say this. Like with the whole security guards being in schools, like I would say I had an incident with one. Because I one day I didn't have like a shirt or something, so I had my jacket on and like she actually grabbed me. No real reason to grab me. Just grab me and like unzip my jacket. I felt so violent. Like if we're gonna have these security officers, y'all need to train them to not put their hands on the students if they're not causing any trouble. Because I felt violent and I got suspended because I was really frustrated that day and I yelled out, damn. I was so like, why would you put your hands on me? Like, that's not cool. You know, like all these other people around me, and you decided to pick me out, little Muslim girl. So it was just like, y'all gotta train them to only really do something if there's a fight, if there's some type of danger. Don't put your hands on the kids if there's no reason to.
But see, you know how they wouldn't have to train them if they were community officers, because they would already know that, because they'd have a relationship with that family and that child. They was like,
my family has been going to, that's the school I went to. My family has been going there for years.
Now, but was that security? Did that security guard?
They knew my family. They knew me before I even got to the school.
But did they know you? Was that
yes,
your
they knew
officer?
They
so you would see them.
They knew my name.
Well, that
I
may
didn't have to take the test
like
to get into the school.
I mean, stuff like that does happen. Like same thing with George Floyd, the cop who killed him knew him for years. Like it does happen where like someone can know you and be like they already have an impression of you just from knowing you or your family. So like I still think the community officer thing is still good, but as long as like how often do officers need to be in schools with guns? Like we already have kids in a super surveillance, cameras everywhere, metal detectors everywhere. Kids still find a way to bring weapons in, even with the metal detectors. So how helpful is it? Like,
man. Now hold on. So with the dads on duty thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you judge who can be a part of it? Because like, and this is a good segue into the topic.
Yeah.
Like, is there a trial process? Like, how do you judge he's a good enough dad to be in dad's on? Because it seems like a very flawed idea.
On that one. So, in Boy Scouts, we do volunteers, and to be a leader, you have to go through a background check. B, they do a yearly training that you have to go through for that. It's called youth protection training, and it takes a while to do. But after you do that background check, they check it every year to make sure you're good. They're more thorough now than before, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. They should do something like background check, maybe do a mental test just to make sure that you're not, you're there, and then from there break it down, and then have them do some kind of youth training.
That's a lot to volunteer.
If you want to be, do it.
I mean, okay, so I can see the idealist side of that working. I can see that, but realistically,
You're more concerned about what the criteria are for the background?
You have to do a background test.
Yeah, I mean, because all right, so I'm not one of those guys that likes to harp on memes and old jokes. But she used the Boy Scouts, and that's not really the best.
Yeah, that's what she's talking about, the new Boy Scouts versus the old.
There's a new one. I didn't know there was a new one. I didn't know that. I didn't want to say it. There's a new one. They made a 2.0. because I didn't, I didn't want to use that one.
I have two girls in it, so.
Okay, so
I
they're
have to
very
give it
different
a
now
try.
because, okay. No,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I did not know, and I didn't want to be
That's why I
wrong.
said it's better to put because they're doing so because of all the stuff that had happened in the past. They're trying to do better. But even like
Okay.
for school system here, in order to be a volunteer, you have to go through a background check.
Now, here's my thing about background checks and mental tests. There are certain things that people, especially the worst kind of people, the people that know they have an issue with themselves, they know how to hide. The two worst type of people to me are the ones in denial and the ones that know and hide. Because they'll do the scariest shit. So you have to account for those because like how do you judge it? Because it's different than Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts is technically a job. But this is them saying we have to say that you're a good enough dad to come to the school and volunteer to protect your child. How do you judge what makes you a good dad?
Yeah.
No, I'm
I was
saying
gonna
to be a
say
dad
with
ultimately.
this, especially when working with kids, even more so, the concept of believe the victim needs to come in the process where, like, if a kid tells you, like, yeah, not to speak against dads on duty, but somebody in here has been doing some bad duties, like, listen to them kids, take that shit seriously. Like, often organizations to protect themselves, they sweep shit under the rug. And what does it lead to? It leads to ultimately so much shit. When it finally is unveiled, it topples everything. So, like, if you like, ultimately, like you said, someone could beat a background check, someone could beat and gain the trust of a bunch of people. But once you hear some shit that don't smell right, that don't pass the smell test, you gotta address that. You gotta bring that up. You gotta do an investigation. You gotta get to the root of
But
it before it corrupts
even
everything.
before that, how does a background check and a mental health test equate to you being a good parent? Because say you meet a guy, say you have a dad's on duty situation, he wants to volunteer. You check his background. He has drugs, he has guns, he has violent crimes in his background. Now he was young when he did this before he had a child, but it's in his background. See that, you say, okay, have him.
You got a gun now, but that still doesn't have to do anything with being a good parent.
Okay,
I would be
well,
like, hey, do you have a gun on you today? Yes, no, is it concealed or not concealed? And then after that, you could ask other questions. It doesn't have to be just stop at a background check. And even if there is something like, don't make it, how to say it.
because I have a question for that now that you said that. Good.
So, yeah, people fuck up. So it's going to be in the background. But it should be on a case to case.
Okay.
For sure.
But
If it's older than 10 years or older than your oldest child, then it should be case by case. Because that would have been by you fucked up when you were younger versus now.
But see, now that holds a certain level of prejudice because it may be something. For example, me, I'll use my case as an example, and I'll perform a mock background check on myself.
Okay.
Everything I'm saying is the truth. Okay, I have 2 cases of child abuse in my record. As recently as 2014. Here's why. I grew up in a household that believed in whoopings. I spanked my child. He had a bruise. I had to be taken out of the home. I had to go through cases and do a year of probation. Then a second time, I spanked my child. I left a bruise. Same thing happened again. I had to learn that spanking my child might not be the best way. I'm 6'2", I'm 300 plus pounds. I never treated my son like he was a bad child. I buy him everything. I'm very active in his life. when I say active, I'm like, all of my activities are with him. That's like my homeboy. But I'm also a parent that I'm a disciplinarian. So I use that to say that is as recent as 2014. But I have 2 of them on my record. I'm on the registry for that type of child.
Well, speaking as not a parent, but on the subject that we're about to get into about parenting, I think the mark of a good parent or a better parent is how much you're willing to learn to correct bad behavior as a parent. Because we all are going to leave hard. If you just from existing and having parents that you want to be better than because of the harms and scars they left on you, you're naturally carrying scars and shit that they put in you for what the kids that you're going to have. Now it's when you recognize like, oh, that shit isn't healthy. That shit isn't going to foster a good relationship with my kid growing up, because parenthood isn't just a role. It's the relationship you really have with your child. Now it's how much am I willing to learn and improve and grow so I can be that better parent, so that especially if you're around these other kids, you wouldn't want, like, if you never took a course, if you never learned the lessons of like not putting your hands on kids, then that might be an issue if, like, to split up a fight, you start getting like, bitch, you pulling out the belt and all that. So it's very important that like people start wherever they start at. And like, I know for me, I don't want to necessarily have any kids until I'm well financially stable and like mentally, emotionally stable. But I still think I'd be a great dad just because I can put myself in the place of knowing what it must be like for a kid to go through certain things. That concept of, you know, I'm not just an adult to tell a kid what to do. When I was a kid, I wouldn't want some adult to just speak down on me and tell me what I can and can't do. Like, what is the relationship there? Like, why should I listen to you, especially if you're not treating me well? And
so Tryst, I want to ask
yeah,
you a question, since you
okay,
said, because you're not a parent
yeah,
and you feel as though that you would be a great parent,
mhm,
what makes a great parent? In your honest opinion, as
yeah,
as as someone who's not a parent,
yeah.
what to you makes a great parent?
To me, what makes a great parent, like I said, someone who learns from their mistakes, someone who's willing to get the therapy to unlearn like abusive stuff that was done to them so that they don't continue that. But ultimately, it's someone who, there's a Buddhist who says this, I forgot how to pronounce the name, but it says the greatest gift a parent can give their child is his or own happiness. So someone who's primary, like when you look at your child, yes, the child might look like a little you, but you recognize they're going to grow up into their own thinking, self-living, self-fulfilled person. And so your job is not just to like make them obey you. Your job is to prepare them for a world that they can have an impact on, but is looking to destroy them too, or looking to change it. So it's,
So,
what are you gonna say?
so because all right, that's a very eloquent answer.
All right.
Um, but it's a safe one. Like, what
Yeah.
if you get the therapy, you unlearn the toxic tactics that were, enacted on you as a child growing up, and you still feel the way that you parented the right way. Is it that your way of parenting is right, or that the therapy and such didn't work? Because I'm a person that still believes that spanking your child is necessary, even with everything I've been through. I do
Well,
not.
there's a
I do
yeah.
not. I personally do not regret, because it never affected me and my child's relationship.
Mhm.
My child even let them know, like, no, my dad's not like that.
Well,
It's literally
yeah,
just I punched the teacher in the face and he
yeah.
spanked
Well, I'm glad that your child was, not to dominate the conversation, but I'm glad that your
me.
child does recognize that, like, if they went that far, that like that would cause for something. For my family, because all of us were spanked on some crazy shit. Like, I once had a broomstick broken up on my back, and like I've seen my mom like push my sister's head into a wall, like
Yeah, I've
on
had
some wrestling shit.
sisters.
I was on the steps looking at that shit. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like Jesus
I've had
Christ.
sisters. My grandmother has full on punched me in my face. She
Mm-hmm.
was 5'2". I was
Mm-hmm.
6 foot. She punched me full on in my face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've been there. I've been there.
Yeah, yeah. So like,
Yeah,
I
I've
get,
been there.
we come from this type of stuff, and like, for example, my brother, he especially with my mom as super religious and can only talk about religion as she is. My brother's a whole atheist now, and he don't even really talk to her on the phone. Like she'll start going in, and I'll sit there watching them like yell at each other. I'm just like, can both of y'all chill? But I get that that's war right there. And for me, raising, if I was to like be a parent and to raise children, it would now be to like, it'd be easy for me to say, I'm not gonna spank my kids. Like I did a bunch of research on this where they said if you're gonna beat your kids, like one of the most helpful ways to do it is the two spank rule from the ages of 4 to 11, because those kids actually end up being more disciplined, more successful financially. But like you don't want to continue it past the point where like the Bible talks about it like, don't spare the rod, at the same time, don't provoke your children to anger. And we don't want to raise our children to be the point of they can't wait to get out of our houses. And when they're both full adults, you trying to have a relationship with them, you trying to have a connection with them, and it's like, fuck you, I don't need to listen to you, I'm out your house type shit.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I do want Karina to speak more too, because Karina and Queen Pedii,
Yeah.
for this perspective, especially Karina since she's a mom. I'm just throwing my 2 cents in there.
Like I got spanked for crazy stuff with slippers, flip flops, wooden spoon. Go outside, get your old stitch. And I came out as a good person. My brother, you could tell like who got the rod and who did it, because the middle one, love it to death, and he's great now, but he didn't get spanked that bad, so he's like more chill. My youngest brother, he gets in trouble a lot, and he got spared the rod, and he needed it. And you can tell like who listens, who really doesn't, who like my parents gave up on my youngest brother because that's how bad and my youngest brother told me, he's like, you know what, if it wasn't for you, I consider you more of my mom than my actual mom, because you're the only one that actually made sure that anytime I did something wrong, you got me for it. That's it true. Anytime I got in trouble, you made sure that if I made you mad, you made sure you got me back. You pranked me when I needed to be pranked back. You know, and that's just how like I help raise my brothers. Now my kids, hey, my 2-year-old, he's jumping off the top of the crib. What am I supposed? Am I supposed to go? Don't do that. Don't do that. No. You know what I did? I gave him 2 taps. No, he was done. He started jumping to the bed instead. Instead of trying to go down to the ground. But he still was learning, my kids, they're good kids. Drive me crazy, but I think I'm a pretty decent parent. I ain't gonna say I'm the best parent in the world, because to each their own.
No.
They got a roof over their head, they got food in their belly. They're not hot, they're not cold, they got clothes, they got shoes, they got what they need. And do they have the PS5? No. They have a Switch? No, they don't have any of that material. My kids get happy when I give them a little toy car or a piece of candy from the store. So I think I'm raising decent human beings.
Okay. So I'm gonna just say this. It's like I don't believe in the spanking thing either. Because I remember one day, like, my dad was watching us while my mom, she was getting her master's degree at Howard, right? And he just comes up the stairs and he popped us with the belt. And we're like, what did we do? Because we're not, we ain't going running through the house. He told us general purposes. And I'm like, the general purpose? Like,
he said, I'm around
here and doing nothing? Like,
I make jokes about that with my kids. Like, I should just whoop you just so you can know what's up.
And I would never. Because like that bothers me to this day. Because I'm like, what did I do?
That's actually abuse. For anybody watching, if you do that, you are abusing your child, because you are just
I'm gonna plug it up.
Yeah.
Plug it up.
No.
And it
What can we actually
like
do?
see, I'm about to get in trouble with my family. But like it wasn't even just that. It was more of like what they would say. Cause like definitely in my formative years, like I gained weight because I used to be tiny, like a real stick. And the moment I wasn't a stick anymore, my family definitely was not the nicest. They were like, I was called Holly Jolly. I was called a roly poly. I was called just fat.
I was called Jigglypuff.
Oh, that one too. I got that too. I was called Santa Claus, and this is like when I'm 14 and I'm just entering high school. Like that killed my self-esteem. I'm gonna be so honest. My
My favorite
self-esteem
one
was
was
shitty because of that. And
my
like
favorite
and it's other like once I turned 11, my mom, she was just hell on wheels with me, and I wasn't even disrespectful. That's the sad part. Like my mom, and I hate to say it, but I believe she is a narcissist because she favors my brother, who is the golden child, to basically everybody. I literally do the same things he does. I know the same things he knows, but I was always pushed to the side. Everybody just adored my brother, and they just made me feel like I wasn't good enough. So, like, I remember my brother made this little comic strip about sugar diabetes, and he called it sugar diabetes. We used to do stuff like that, and I think I must have made some comment because my mom just was fawning over it, like, "Oh my God, this is just so good." Da, 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 da. And I think I went and was like, "Oh, I want to get some attention too, you know? Hey, love me." And I made one, and my mom was just like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like,
Are you the oldest?
"No, I am the youngest, but I'm the only girl." So
That's
I,
your one thing.
huh?
You're from a Muslim family, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
My mom's Baptist, though. My mom's Baptist.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And my dad, yeah.
All right. So I am not religious anymore. Before I say this, I am more studious spiritual. I love to learn. I pray to what I pray to, but I don't confine myself to religion. But I do believe that there are cultural norms in religions, especially in Christianity and Islam, that don't particularly favor the female in general.
Well, actually, females are supposed to be favored. We are supposed to be held to the highest standard.
They are. Now,
Mhm.
we see from just natural society that is the complete total opposite.
That's because of people coming in, because that's the thing that a lot of people do not understand, because like a lot of people, they see like these other cultures that have adopted Islam, and they treat their women like doo-doo. I get how y'all can think that, but that's not, because if you read the
like so I've been watching these couples on YouTube that are Muslim, and the man even converted, but the man, like when they get paid or whatever, they're supposed to pay like pay for all the female stuff, all the bills and everything else for the house. When the women work, their check belongs to them. They don't have to share with the husband or share with the house bills or any other thing. That it
now
goes.
that sounds amazing, and it's cute for that YouTube couple. But let's talk about the homeland of Islam.
Yes, they're wrong.
But
and their natural culture to
and he's actually
women.
Following what the Quran says. That's the thing. That's what I was getting ready to say. We're supposed.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the culture of it, The culture and the rules are two different things. The rules never normally coincide with
the culture depends on the country.
And that leads me to my next question. Is the Islamic side of your family from one of those countries?
We're from here. Well, technically.
No, I mean like bloodline, descendant wise. Do they have a relative that's in a progressively Islamic country or a more
Americanized?
American.
No, not Americanized, but
I know what you mean. I'm a Sunni Muslim.
You know, I'm not trying to be racist with it, but the more terroristic Islamic countries. I didn't want to say it like that, but it's not Americanized. It's the ones that were having the protests about women not being treated fairly in their country.
No, that's not the one.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
No.
Are they from there or are they from a more progressive country?
Yeah, progressive. My dad is more progressive, but he does comment on my weight. And that's what I was saying. Like parenting, you have to realize once your child tells you that does not make them feel good and you're hurting their feelings, you have to understand, damn, let me not say that again. Because like when I was working as a nanny, I had to learn to not say certain things because like it can hurt their feelings. You have to be empathetic to your child, because if you're not empathetic to them, how are they gonna learn how to treat other people? Because luckily I wasn't the type of person that would just go around and just be a butthole to people just because at home my parents treated me like shit and was telling me I was stupid and all this, like, and hitting me and just like I could have been hell on wheels at school, but I didn't, luckily. But you just gotta be able to realize that the things that your parents did that grew up in the Great Depression and all that, it don't work. Like I have baby boomers as parents and they're crazy. Okay.
That's and you know what? That's where that I think baby boomer parents, for good intentions aside, that's why I know this discussion of what makes it good. Can you be a bad person and a good parent? Because most people equate that time of like strong parenting as just tough love. When it wasn't. It was terrible human beings having children by people that they didn't want to be with just to survive.
Well, a lot of them came from World War II. Like my grandfather, they came from World War II. Well,
not your
dad's cool. He was nice, but my dad's dad, he could be like.
Think about it like this.
Seeing people get shot in front of him, and he had to drive the truck while the person is dying next to him. Like he done seen some things.
They don't know what love is.
Well, he knew what love was, but he had to deal with stuff that he saw in the war, and then you have to.
War destroys your ability to love. Think about what you have to do
because you think like it switch your mind, so it just
leave all kinds of PTSD.
Yeah, there we go.
Because at its base form, you know what you have to do? You have to turn off your ability to care about the human being. It's in our DNA to care about each other, to want to survive. So you have to psychologically turn that off and say, I'm willing to kill everything in front of me. Yeah. That fucks with you have to do that, you have to sacrifice something. Mm-hmm. Not to sound like an anime or a Power Rangers movie, but you have to sacrifice something. And they sacrifice their ability to love another human being. When they talk about the deconstruction of the Black family, right? They really say it starts in like the 70s, 50s, that era, 50s to the 70s. But it really started the moment they allowed us to truly be free. Because they knew the moment we mobilized, because this issue of bad people becoming parents and expecting them to be good parents, because I don't believe that you can be a bad person and be a good parent. I believe you can do bad things. I believe you can make mistakes. But to be a genuinely bad person, to live your life by doing things you know that are bad, there's no way that you have the capacity to love your seed properly because you don't even love the general human existence. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I had to realize that my grandfather, as much as I loved him, was a terrible human being. And he was a terrible grandfather because he never lived his life to be a good person. He died a terrible person. And to be able to accept that, I had to realize, okay, his teachings is what fucked up my mother and fucked up my uncle, which in turn caused me and my brother and some of my cousins to be fucked up.
Well,
but good.
I mean, because that's where I was going. Like my grandmother was hell on wheels, especially to my grandfather. It's a running joke in my family that she killed my granddaddy, okay, by stressing him out, and he had a heart attack in bed. So my grandmother used to torture the out of my mom and my aunt. My aunt got it the worst, just like how I get it the worst. And I believe she's the youngest. No, she's not the youngest. She's like the middle. But I told my mom this, and I said, hey, look, I told her everything that bothered me from when I was a kid that she did to me to, adulthood, like even recently. And she was like, that sounds just like what your aunt said that your grandmother used to do. I'm like, then why do you continue to do this? Because this is not like my first time coming to you telling you that, the things that you're doing to me is bothering me and it's killing me. Like I remember this. She's like, oh my God, give me a second, y'all, because my brain.
Have any of you ever, I say this to like my little cousin all the time. And a lot of people actually look to him mostly. Have you ever realized that your family is human? Like, have you really sat and understood that you have to hold your family to the same human values that you would hold a stranger, the same level of respect, the same level of loyalty, of trust, of all of that? You have to hold them higher than a stranger because you've allowed them that title of family. So we have to realize that when we see traits, like I love my uncle and my aunt. I won't speak their name, but that's for reasons. I love my uncle and my aunt. My grandmother stuck by me in my worst times. God rest her soul. She was stuck by me through every court case, every jail situation. She never enabled me. She never gave me money. She never paid for anything. All she did was check on me, make sure I was good when I was home. She did her best. I have a plate for you whenever you're in trouble. You know what I'm saying? You can come and rest your head, but you can't stay. Cool, respect that. My uncle and aunt did their best to try to get her to, in short, give information to get me locked up for a very long time. She didn't do it. My grandmother told me what happened. My grandmother ended up passing. She revealed some family information to me. She ended up passing. That's something I'll talk about another time. And my uncle and aunt, I knew the snake in them. I knew that they were terrible human beings. Ever since I was a kid, I knew it. But I said, they're my family. I look at them differently. They're my family. Same way you probably looked at yours growing up. And it took my grandmother down and me having to be an adult and watch them fake tears and fake all of this emotion. And then sit in my face and tell me that the woman I love, that birthed my children, that my grandmother accepted in the family, isn't family. Then try to steal my grandmother's insurance money from all of her grandkids, even their own children. I legitimately told them this. I said, I have to separate myself from you as family. I have to accept that you are terrible people, because if I don't, I will actually kill you. I will legitimately have to, because you have played with not only myself, who I am as a human being, but my dead grandmother, your mother, for your own personal gain. You have to really understand that you're like, even if they're your blood, they're still human. They are
earlier. So one day, this is when I had accepted that my mom was just terrible to me, period, and just did not like me. There was coconut oil for your hair in the bathroom, and then like one day it just appeared in my mom's room. So I went in my mom's room and got the coconut oil, put it in my hair because my hair was dry. So my mom comes home. She goes in her, I think she went in her room, then she went into the bathroom because I had left it in there. And she's like, who went in my room and took the coconut oil out my room? And I'm like, I did, I needed it for my hair. And she cussed me out. Like up, down, I was all types of everything. And I was like, okay. Like I didn't yell back or anything. I just was like, oh, all right, She goes in her room, and then I get on the phone, and I just start talking to a former friend because she ain't my friend no more. And she comes in the room, and she's like, "You're talking about me? Get off the phone." I'm like, "I'm not gonna get off the phone so you can yell at me again. I paid my phone bill. I bought this phone. I'm grown, by the way. I'm a grown woman." And she's just like yelling and screaming. So she snatched my phone. I got up, and I'm like, "Hey, give me my phone back." And she's like this with my phone. And I'm like, okay, like stop, And she hit me. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, give me my phone back. Give me my phone back. And she hit me again. And then she threw my phone. And I'm like, oh my God. And then she hits me again. And that's when I was like, okay, this is the third time I'm gonna have to hit back. And we actually started fighting. Like I ended up having to like pull her down to the ground. Like this was a really bad fight to the point where she was at the end of it, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kick you out," and everything. And everybody was just like, "Oh well." And I'm like, she hit me 3 times before I even hit her back. And I'm like, why do you feel like you can do that to me? And I had to accept at that moment that she's a terrible human being because she wouldn't do my brother like that. She would never take anything from my brother like that.
She values
Called me a bitch. I had closed my door, and she actually opened my door, hit me in my face. I had double vision. I had bruises and everything. And I'm like, over coconut oil. It wasn't even like I stole money. I didn't steal anything. I just moved a bottle of coconut oil into the bathroom. And then like for months, she just tortured me. And then she went and she lied to like my family members and told them I hit her first. And I'm like, no, I didn't. You hit me 3 times before I even swung. Because at that moment I'm in defense mode. I have an autoimmune disorder, and fighting and getting hit like that can activate it, and I'll be in pain. And I'm like, no, I can't continue to do that. Like, I can't continue to let you do that to me. And this is not the first time we have fought. She threw a chair into my abdomen before because I was getting my hair done in the house. So, like, and then she was telling my brother that I was the devil. And she was like, oh, yeah, I can't wait for her to leave. And she thought I was gone. She didn't know I was in my brother's room. And she was just talking all the shit about me. And my brother was like, but she's the only one who gives you Mother's Day gifts. She gives you birthday gifts, Christmas gifts. When I tell you, I have bought my mom diamonds. I bought her emeralds, sapphires, whatever she wants, I would buy it. I bought her favorite flower for Mother's Day, like, and and she was just like, no, she's the devil. She's evil. I was like, oh, okay, all right, and it was it's just not a cool thing. It's like lying and then making it seem like I'm the one who is going around just doing horrible things. I'm like, no, I literally be in here minding my business. I don't do anything. You know?
Probably is. She has some, like she gives me religious zealot vibes.
Oh, she told me I was gonna go to hell because I didn't want to go to church with her because I had to work.
Yeah, that's what that is. She hates your freedom, probably. Most likely, that's the vibe I get. She hates your freedom.
She's free. Oh, she's very free.
Yeah, it sounds like
She's very free.
I mean, you got to realize what we may consider as a prize could be a prison to them.
Whatever. I heard her do something. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, like I said, sometimes we can consider something a prize that can be a prison to someone else.
Mhm.
So, it is, you may believe that she's free, she has all of this, but in her head, she may be trapped in a prison and what you may consider the simplicity of your life is, without having all of the bullshit she may be attached to or tied to that she don't really want. Because you want to know what jaded my view on love, and this is why I believe, like, I'll just say it like this: you can't fall out of love with a person. If you have the ability to do that, you were never in love with them in the first place. You hear a lot of older couples say that we're not in love, but we love each other. They were never in love. They were marriages and relationships of necessity. Whether it was to merge families for land, whether it was she has this and he has that, so we put it together, we good. A lot of the relationships that were born from like the 1920s and early on, where our grandparents, our great grandparents, it wasn't really love. It was necessity and survival. So we weren't really, like I said, we weren't created. Our generation of Black people weren't born of love. We're really the first generation that's birthing children based on love. Because you got to realize, in the Black community, love isn't, oh, baby, it's okay. You hurt your knee, let me kiss it. It's, oh, get your ass up, man. You ain't hurt that bad. Don't even want to hear you cry. You cry, I'm going to punch you. That's love in the Black community. You know what I'm saying? You get clowned if you coddle your son and he hurts himself in front of the boys. Oh, man, you let him cry like that, man. He's going to be a sucker. You too soft with it. That's just the norm. That's just the norm. So we're the first generation that's really like birthing our kids and like, no, we're going to love you, champ. Because like I came from, hey, baby. I'm still on that.
I know. I
My wife is guest. You hear her voice. She's guest voice started for a second.
Hello.
But like, so I want to tell the story of my father, right? Like, he's a terrible human being. And this is really the genesis of this thought process. Because I think I'm a great parent, because I think I'm a great person. But I know for a fact that I was born from a terrible human being. I was born from what, in all intents and purposes, is a pedophile, a liar, a rapist, terrible cop. And I'm blessed to be alive being his son. You know what I'm saying? So my mother met this guy. He was a police officer. He was playing a go-go band. And he was a little bit older than her. She was still in her teens. She had my brother first, then she had me. Me and my brother had two fathers. So this guy was a police officer. He used to rob a lot of people as a police officer, kidnap a lot of people, help orchestrate murders, things like that. On top of that, he was a very promiscuous man. On top of that, he was married with children while sleeping with my mother. They had me, he didn't want me. Cool, whatever. But he also failed to mention that he gave my mother AIDS. So 2 years after I'm born, my mother contracts AIDS. They were dating full on. I love my mother. I never had a relationship with her, but I love her, but she was a fucking idiot. She continued on a relationship with a man that didn't want his child. And that man gave her AIDS during that relationship and killed her, and then showed up to the funeral with his wife and kids. And since then has disappeared. He went to prison for like 9 years for kidnapping, robbery, came home, and I haven't heard from him since. Well, I'm lying. Me and him actually were locked up together. And that was around 19 years old. He was my cellie. The reason why I knew he was my father was because we took a blood test in jail. Came back, we were related. He mentioned something about my mother that only a person that dealt with my mother would know. But he did know he was talking about my mother, which causes us to have the DNA test. And he was cool with not being a father. He was like, so the fuck what? I had other shit to worry about. And at that day, I could have, because I really wanted to get through that. On that day, I made a choice because I told myself the moment I get in front of my father, I'm going to kill him. Because you left me. I went through hell on earth in my mind. And I'm not good enough. I didn't have a male role model for real. My brother, yes, he was as good as he could be. But I became attracted to the streets. I didn't have that father to really pull me up. So me not having a father to pull me up fucked me up, and I blamed him for it. But to see that man in that cell with me, him really just like, fuck it, I don't care, I'm gonna throw my life away. I couldn't even bring myself to want to have the energy to do it. Because I'm like, if I actually do it, then I'm probably gonna end up exactly like you, in these cells probably for the rest of my life doing nothing. I didn't have kids. I didn't have a home. I didn't have a business. I could have killed him and been straight because I'd have been at least getting 3 hot meals and a place to sleep for the rest of my life. But something in me just, and I guess this is like, me not being a terrible person, but doing terrible things. It's just like, it ain't you. Don't do it. And I promised myself when I left that jail, because I beat my case. When I left that jail, I said, when I have children, I want to make sure I'm the best father I could ever be, because I stared my devil, my demon, my darkest moment in the face, saw this person was a piece of shit, had the opportunity to fulfill my destiny, so to speak, take him out the picture and be exactly what my father was. Piece of shit. And I was like, nah. You know what I'm saying? But I've always held within myself, like, the older I get, the more I see the interaction I've had with my father. I have a lot of him in me. My anger, my sometimes ability to not, my ability to bully people. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of ways like him that didn't come from my mother. So I've always wondered, like, am I a good parent? Because I do teach my son to be compassionate. He loves everybody. He is a tough boy, but he is not a bully. He protects the people. He's like, look, I don't want to bully nobody. I don't want to see no one get bullied. Let's all be friends. But then I also see the darkness in him, so to speak. I see, especially my middle child, my oldest twin. When she gets mad, she can't hear anybody. You have to literally grab her and look her in the eyes and snap her out of her anger. She will turn completely red, almost hyperventilate, and go crazy. But she's the nicest baby girl on earth. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, can you, because you have terrible traits, or can that stuff be passed off? Because I see that I didn't teach my children some of these things. This shit is just in them.
Yeah.
It makes you think, like, even if you hate your parent, do you eventually become them? So if your parents are
I
terrible,
mean, I'm doing everything I can to not become my parent. Like even how I treat my dog is way different than how I was treated. Like I give her so much compassion, so much empathy because I'm like, she needs love. Like she's a soul, she's a being who is going to like react to whatever, I do to her. Because sometimes I will say I do yell. Like if she bites me, yes, I'm gonna yell. So she reacts to that like, and I'm like, oh no. And it's so funny because I literally will sit there and apologize to my dog. I'm like, I'm sorry, but you did so and so to me, and mommy
I apologize to my
reacted
dog.
in this way. I know I'm real weird with my dog. I dress her up. I do everything. Like I make sure she's good.
That's not weird.
It is a little bit because people be looking at me like,
That's your baby.
Dog gang. That's my man. That's Phil's my baby. That's my boy, man.
I know you
That's
just
your
got a
baby that
dog
you
too.
choose.
So yeah, I do what I can to practice and make sure that, I don't hurt her and tell her, she's stupid. Like I can tell my dog she's stupid. And if I hear anybody in this house say she's stupid, I correct them and say she is not stupid. She's actually very smart. She is. She's not. She does things for me around the house. She opens the door for me. She will get whoever I tell her to go get, because if I'm sick and I can't move, she gonna go get them. So she's smart as fuck. She is smart as fuck.
Is there a difference between calling a child / dog baby stupid or saying that they are doing something stupid?
Mm-hmm. But no, they say she's stupid.
My grandmother used to be like you smarter than that. Stop being stupid. Stop doing stupid stuff. And I'm like, Ma, stop calling me stupid. I genuinely hate that.
Yeah.
I know I'm like, she was like, I'm not calling you stupid. I'm saying you're doing something stupid. Now,
and
I was my kids.
Yeah,
but my wife would be like, stop calling them stupid. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm saying what you're smart. You're a genius. Why are you doing dumb shit?
You did something stupid.
Yeah. So I just want to get y'all.
We're going to have to take a break again because
the emphasis should be on teaching your child wisdom and discernment and understanding, rather than make, like, my mom would sometimes say, yo, you're a jackass. And like, when I do clumsy shit now, I'm just like, it is what it is.
Well, my mom is straight up stupid.
I tell my son, sometimes you can be an asshole. Sometimes you can be a dick. It's just like, but I say it in a way that's not like, oh, you're a dick, I hate you. No, it's like, son, you can be a dick sometimes. And he'll laugh about it. But he understands, like, okay.
I tell my kid, I'm crazy.
Yeah, see, but I think, but if you were to hear it no context, you'd be like, hey, son, you're an asshole. Oh my God, he talks to his child like that? Not knowing, you know what I'm saying? Man, a little.
Yeah, but it's all the time. Like, it's like a joke, like, come on, don't be like that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I've seen it happen. I've been out and they just
time out.
Yeah, time out.
Yeah. Time out.
Calling people stupid. Oh, well, not people, but your child. And this was one day I had literally just broken up with this dude, right? My mom did not know. She comes in from church and she's like, you better not let so-and-so drive your car. And when you do get your apartment, you better not let him live in there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I wouldn't even do these things, right? And
if it's your bills that you're paying, then who cares?
No, I don't know what her was that day.
Black boys don't want to be that way.
But she was like, I asked her, why are you even saying all this to me? She said, because you're stupid. And I was like,
it just sounds like there's a lot of resentment there.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I remember one day I told her, not told her, but like I had gone against her with like my dad because she was wrong. And whatever the situation was, she was wrong. I told her, I said, no, don't, you shouldn't do this or whatever. And she was like, oh, so are you your dad's wife now? And I'm like, whoa, yeah.
There you go.
And I'm like,
Knows their card
what
right
is
there.
that? And that was after we had fought. It was after we had fought. And I'm like,
You threatened her. You know what it is? And this is, I like how it came full circle from that. You are more your mother's child than you realize.
I know I am.
You are selfish with your time, like she is with hers. She wants all the men in her lives attention. She don't want to share it with nobody.
Well, no, okay. So what I was saying earlier, I'm not saying that I want all of his attention. That's not what I was
You
saying.
do though. That's exactly what you
But
said.
that's not what I'm saying, though.
But that's exactly what you said.
I would
though.
rather,
Like you said that exact sentence.
It don't get canceled because of. I just have had bad experiences, and they've been worse than when I've been with people without kids. That's all I'm saying. And I just don't.
Because you was able to get the attention that you want. You even said it yourself. I'm selfish. I want to be.
No, I said I think now I deserve to be selfish.
And that's how she feels. She's number one. And you getting you getting that attention, you getting daddy's eye when you do it, you getting that daddy affection from him bothers her because she wants to be number one. Because eventually she's gonna get old.
So
you said what? Say that again?
He divorced him.
That doesn't matter.
Well,
that doesn't matter. When you're dealing with crazy, the logic is never there when you're dealing with crazy. You gotta realize you're dealing with crazy.
Oh, y'all can keep talking.
But
if you can hate your child, you're crazy.
Leave you when you old.
If you have the ability to have hate or dislike towards something that you literally brought onto this planet, you are crazy. You have a mental disorder. So you gotta. There's no logic there. No logic. If you're with the father, your child can't steal your man. It's impossible. Unless y'all got something really satanic going on, and then that's a whole other can of worms.
No.
Yeah, not saying. I'm just saying in general.
It came out of left field. I promise you that. Because me and my dad looked
at it. That's what I'm saying. You see how crazy. You see how crazy the logic has to be for it to make sense.
Yeah.
They're dealing with a mental disorder. It's just, I'm telling you, but because you know, all right, I want that love. You know how, like, I'm going to use Joe from You for an example. I'm not giving out any spoilers. Just, he has learned that you have to feed the beast, but not all the way. And it's a real thing. You know you like attention. And you know I don't want the attention off me when it comes to my partner. I know that having a child could take that away. When you get to the point that you find a partner that you want to have a child with, you will have formulated a plan to make sure that even though you have to give away attention time, that you would still get the amount that you want. You feed the beast, but you do it enough to keep the beast cool. She hasn't done that. She got divorced. That means she lost the attention of her man.
Well,
and you still get.
See, I don't do too much business out here, but they still.
No.
Like.
Yeah.
They still act like they married. It's a whole connection.
Because he's still giving her the attention.
Whatever.
She's still pining for that attention.
She said the whatever word.
Yes, it's a lot. But I just, like, my dad is not innocent either. Very much. Like I said before, like going back to the whole before when we were talking about like the chunky thing and eating and all that, because like I remember one Christmas my ex was over here and my dad, I don't know what I had on my plate, but my dad is like, oh, you shouldn't eat too much of that because you're gonna be like a buffalo, and nobody's gonna want to be with a buffalo. And I'm like, what? And like this is the first time my ex had ever met my whole family, and my grandmother agreed, And I'm sitting here like, and he's sitting there looking at me like, is this for real? Are they really sitting here calling you fat at the Christmas dinner table? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, no, because so-and-so said that he would, love me even if I got bigger, which was a fucking lie, which we can go to another day. But, yeah.
Another thing
It
I want to speak on
was
is
so embarrassing,
I never understood parents like that.
Like, and it hurt so bad because I wasn't even fat, yo. If I showed y'all the pictures of what size I was, y'all would be like, that's not fat. You're not fat.
I was 92 pounds.
You said what?
I was only 92 pounds.
And see, like, you were smaller than me. I think I was like maybe 155. And that's small for 5'4".
Even if you were completely fat, they are your parents. How can they make fun of you for what?
As soon as I was not 120 anymore, oh God, that's when it just rolled in. Like
But you gave me the food.
Huh?
That's like making fun of a person. No, that just doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Welcome to my life.
Dealing with crazy. Dealing with fucking crazy.
But since Black people only have so many resources often when they're raising kids, especially back then, the way to motivate change was to like ridicule and harass you. Which
never actually works.
Never.
It never worked.
Close
in the history of Blackdom.
It made me close off. I'm gonna be very honest. Like, and then I would like reach out to other people for love and then end up in like horrible situations. And like people would be wondering, how did you end up staying with dudes that treated you like doo-doo? And I'm like, And then one day I thought about it and I was like, damn, the way that my parents treat me is the same way these guys was treating me. And I accepted it because I was so used to it. I was used to being belittled and I was used to being hit and shit like that. I didn't know
it. Are
only gonna go for what you know.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, when I have kids, especially a little girl or a little boy, it don't even matter because women can beat on men too. I'm going to let them know, no, this is wrong. I want to parent a different way. I'm not going to be belittling them and making them feel stupid and not worthy and stuff.
And fat and chunky and not worth.
Shoot, if my child gains weight,
I'm going to tell you, my children.
Like, hey, let's go running. Like stuff like that, like a nice way.
My son just went to the doctor. Well, not today.
It's a way to do it without hurting.
My son went to the doctor yesterday, and he is 98.8 pounds. He is about 4'5". They say that he is a little bit overweight for his size. If you were to see my son, he's a tall kid. He's not big. All he has is shoulders, but he's a statuesque kid. He's one of the bigger ones in his class. He got down about that when he heard that because he's very, he loves fruits and vegetables. He keeps his weight in line. He loves to work out. He's not fat. He's a little chubby boy, but just tall. He got down about that, and I'm like, bro, that's fine. It just means you can put on more muscle. He's like, yeah, I want to go do push-ups. You know what I'm saying? I tell, with my kids, I let them know there is no such thing as an imperfection. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that you can just make it better. You don't have to feel bad that you're not the tallest yet. Work on being the strongest. You don't have to be the fastest right now. Work on your form. You're good. You know what I'm saying? I don't really target what they don't do well. You know what I'm saying? That's how that's one of my biggest rules. We've never, I will tell my child completely, hey, yo, that was fucking stupid. Don't do no dumb shit like that because you're smarter than that. But I also encourage them to be smarter than that. When they do something, they figure out something. I'm giving them parties and all that. I love to see them learn. I teach them that learning makes you better. When you learn something to do it on your own, just now you can do it on your own. Now you big dog. That's one of the best terms in our house, big dog. My son, he's learned how to cook. Now he's trying to cook on his own. You big dog. I don't worry about the fact that he doesn't know how to wash dishes perfect. You can wash dishes. Cool, man. You big dog. Now when you want to go wash a dish, go get you a cup, go get you a plate or something, you clean that off. If it's not the best, I'll come behind you do it, but at least you know how to do it. Instead of pointing out the flaws in the children, make them accept the flaws and say, it's cool that I have it, but now I can make it better. You know what I'm saying? Make the improvement the fun part of the relationship with your child. Because I don't get parents like that. Like, oh, you fat piece of this. Why? Now when your child is 27 and 450 pounds, can't do shit for themselves, you wondering where you went wrong. If you went wrong, making them feel bad about it.
Yeah.
My kid, I'm fat. Okay, straight out, I'm fat. And my children be like, nah, because it's the truth. I'm 6'2", I'm 325 plus. I'm 6'2". I'm a big man. My kids, dad, because I work out, I do push-ups, but I'm fat. I keep my strength solid. I don't worry about the six-pack. My kids see that. They say, Dad, I want to be fat. You don't want to be fat. I get the sentiment because I'm healthy, but you don't want to be fat. You want to be strong. Now, if that makes you have a bunch of muscles, cool. If you have a big belly, cool. But you want to be strong, so be healthy. You know what I'm saying? You don't make stuff like that seem bad. I couldn't imagine my child not wanting to eat because I said that they're fat. That's like, how can you have the mentality to say that to your child? That makes you a terrible person.
See,
You're
for
a
me,
terrible fucking human.
so asthma runs in my family, and so my daughter, she's a little bit on the heavier side right now because she's still growing. She hit puberty and everything. So I had to tell her, I'm not saying that I don't like the way you look or the way you are, but it's hurting your health. So we have to figure out something to balance that out. So at first she thought I called her fat. I said, nah, I don't care what you look like. You could be double the size you are, still more love you. But so she does have to do that because it's affecting her health. And also a lot of
Did it fall?
yeah, it fell.
No.
But like for me, because I am a little bit heavier, my doctor told me that was the cause of why I have diabetes now. So because one of the ways for you to get diabetes is overweight. So yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was like 215 pounds, like that I was like pre-diabetic. That was so scary to me because I was like, I had seen my grandmother. She had diabetes and she had to stick her finger. I have a fear of needles, like even though I get infusions and have to go and get blood drawn a lot now. Like nowadays, I'm cool with needles, but I still wouldn't prick my finger. So I do what I can, to make sure I eat a lot of salad. I exercise every day. I do yoga. I know yoga ain't really keeping me from having diabetes, but it's
No, it does.
something,
It actually does.
It does a lot.
It does.
Like
Because
I try, like I got the dog to make sure I'm, getting there. Cause like when I got the dog, I think I was 215. Yeah, I was 215. I am 180 something now. So,
congratulations on that.
even though I've gained a few pounds, but, because I was 177, but she hurt my run with her. So,
I come from a family that suffers from diabetes. Weirdly enough, I don't.
That's good.
Like my grandmother, both of my uncles, my grandfather, a lot of my cousins. it's past. I'm not gonna say it's past. I'm not gonna say that. What I'm going to say is it hasn't probably affected me yet. At 30 years old, I'm turning 31 this year, so God willing, I see my 31st birthday this month. But I'm turning 31, and I've realized I've had to change my diet, and because diabetes and heart disease run in my family, that's been one of the biggest reasons why I want to change it. One of the scariest moments that happened to me didn't even happen to me. It happened to my wife. She went to the doctor and they said at the weight that she was at that time that she was becoming pre-diabetic. And all I could instantly think of was, oh my God, my wife's gonna die. And I went into panic mode. Yeah, I went into panic mode because I saw how it affected my grandmother. I saw how it affected my step grandfather. I saw and see how it affects my uncles. And I'm like, yeah, I couldn't imagine.
At the weight I am, I'm still thinner than what I was before. But I got diabetes from being pregnant first.
Ooh, gestational.
And then after that, it went away. And then when I had the third kid, it came back. But they said that I must have had it before he was conceived. Conceived. Because my A1C was so high. But then after he was born, it went away again. And then a couple of months later, my doctor told me once I lose my baby fat, that I shouldn't have it no more. And I told him, I'm like, well, I'm practically I'm way less than when I had him. But it still won't. So we tried metformin, and metformin is a medicine that they give you first. So let's back up for a second, because I don't know if you guys know a lot about diabetes or not, the facts. So I'm going to give you a couple of diabetes numbers because when is it? Yep, this Sunday is actually National Diabetes Awareness Day. Diabetes by the number. So 34.2 million US adults have diabetes, and 1 in 5 of them don't know they have it. Diabetes is the 7th leading cause of death in the United States. Diabetes is the #1 cause of kidney failure, lower limb, they cut your limbs off, and adult blindness. And in the last 20 years, the number of diagnosed with diabetes has more than doubled.
Yeah,
so
it's the food. It's the food.
There's 3 main types of diabetes. So you got type 1, and type 1 is, if you think about your cells as like locks, your pancreas is not making the keys for your lock. So you can't. So the sugars that we get, the glucose, is not going into the cell. So it's just floating with your red blood cells. If you have too much sugar in your blood system, it actually thickens, and that's how you get all the issues to your organs. Type 2 is where your pancreas is making the keys, but they're either broken or the wrong kind. So some of them are working. So you'll have like maybe a couple cells like, hey, we'll take that, but most of them are like, nope, we don't have the right key. You guys don't have the right key to come in here. So, and then of course, for females, you got the 3rd type, and that's when you get it when you're pregnant. They don't know why, just something happens. And normally, if you do get it while you're pregnant, more than likely, you end up getting type 2. So some of the ways to know that you possibly have diabetes is you're using the bathroom a lot more. So normal people go to the bathroom about 3 to 6 times a day.
Okay, then I'm normal. I was wondering.
So but it also depends on how much you drink. So if that's people with diabetes usually go 10 times, and you go one time, usually once a night. Diabetes, you would go about 10 times during the day, usually, and you go a lot more at night because your body's trying to get rid of the sugars. And because of that, you get to the next thing that you know that you have diabetes is you start being really, really thirsty. So you start drinking a lot more fluids. Better drink water, don't drink juice. Juice has more sugar, so it's just gonna repeat the process over and over a lot quicker. There's other things that like you're tired more often. That's because your blood cells are not getting the sugar that it needs to turn to energy. If you cut your finger or you hurt yourself, it takes a lot longer for it to heal. You're losing weight quickly. You lose a lot of weight because you're drinking a lot of water. You're not really eating as much. You actually get a lot more yeast infection because you have more sugar, and because of that, the yeast.
Wait, so can the men with diabetes get yeast infections too? Because of
Yes,
it? Okay,
and also
I just wanted to make sure it
with
wasn't just us women. Just wanted to
also,
make sure.
y'all junk ain't go to work.
Mm.
Your junk would stop working because the nerves start to fail. And you also get blurry eye vision because the sugar will actually get into your eye. It could pop out one of the veins, and the sugar could flow into your lens, and you could get blur eyes that way. So,
because that's
so
that's
a lot.
Sounds like torture.
Oh, it is, because you got to poke your finger a lot, especially like my dad. He had pre-diabetes, and because I know how it feels, I got on him real quick about it. I'm like, oh, let's go exercise. And my thing is, he's always outside. He works outside. He has 2 jobs, so he's always working. But because you could get it from stress. You could get it from overworking. You could get it from like so many different things could affect your body for it to get diabetes. And I think for me it was with stress, because I was dealing with a lot, still am. But stress messes up your blood sugar like there's no tomorrow. That's why I said keep doing your yoga.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, keep doing that yoga. But luckily nowadays there's a lot more. The hardest thing was the thing that I hated about diabetes, and is because it's a big issue. Insulin. The price of insulin is ridiculous, and the fact that if you can't afford it because you make just a little bit too much for Medicaid, it's an arm and a leg to get it.
I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
Because I do notice you speak a lot of medication. Would you be adverse to more natural or holistic ways to combat like diabetes? Because I'm a firm believer in, like, I don't like medicines.
I hate medicine. I really do. I stopped taking metformin because of all the side effects that I read about. I'm sorry, but I'd rather die from diabetes than cancer. That's just me. I'm one of those females that will wait till I am bent over crying before I take any painkillers.
I mean, like I eat a lot of fruits, I eat a lot of vegetables. I'm big on
You can't.
I don't.
Diabetes. You can't be eating too much fruits
Yeah, because
because of the
that's
No,
sugar.
I know that, but there are superfoods that you can eat.
Hmm.
And I wanted to, the reason why I asked that is because there are a lot of people, especially now in 2021, that are like very much against medications. Even for diabetes, they're more like, I don't feel comfortable. Like you hear this a lot when you're not comfortable taking pills, you feel like there's something in it. And I wanted to get you guys' opinions on that because I've looked up a few of them. And I'm surprised at some of the things that's on these lists as superfoods for people with diabetes. And I wanted to read some out to you guys to get your opinion on it. Is that cool?
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. I mean, they got stuff like, kidney, pinto, navy, black beans. That's good for people. Of course, you
Protein.
expect that. Dark green leafy vegetables, kale, spinach. I love kale, by the way. It's one of my favorites. But okay, here's where it gets wild. Berries.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's play a little trivia. There are 3 berries that they say are good for people with diabetes. Do you have a guess at which one they are?
Is it elderberry?
No.
blueberries.
Yes, actually, blueberries is one.
A lot of and a blackberry.
Yes, I'll give you that. But how they word it, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that's one more. This one to me was the most shocking.
Cranberry.
Mm-mm.
No.
You
You said what?
What about a cranberry?
Mm-mm.
Strawberry?
That's the one.
I was gonna say that before cranberry too.
They say that the blueberries, strawberries, or most other varieties is black. Regardless, they are all packed with antioxidant vitamins, fibers. Berries can be a great option to satisfy your sweet tooth. Because I'm not gonna lie, that shocked me because I would think that you couldn't eat berries with diabetes.
Because they're small and they fill up, and because they have so much benefits to it, it weighs the cons.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. I would think because me not knowing a lot about diabetes, I would think that because it's so sweet, that would mean the sugar would be pretty high.
They're packed.
Yeah, and read
the
that.
starters.
Like the second one that got me is milk and yogurt. I would have thought milk and yogurt would be something that person with diabetes has to avoid. Because milk in itself,
it depends.
milk by itself is just sweet.
Like I wouldn't say eat a whole bunch of Yoplait though, because that's
and that's what I'm thinking about. Like, do I just go give you some animals or something?
Like maybe Greek yogurt.
Greek yogurt is good because it has
like that's what I would say.
I personally don't eat dairy or I eat like some cheese, but besides that, I don't drink milk, regular milk. I don't eat. I do coconut yogurt. And I do like almond or coconut milk. I tried oat milk, but then I found out that it's actually very bad for diabetes. So I had to stop that, even though it tastes so good and creamy. So I had to stop that because taste, yes, I love my foods. I'm a foodie, but because it's really bad, I have to switch it out for something else. So almond milk is really good for diabetes because they still have the protein, it still has some fiber, and I get unsweetened. I get vanilla unsweetened because by the time I add like whatever I want to, I'm not adding sugar, a whole bunch of sugar from the milk first and then adding more. Because I like to mix my milk with my protein shake, my Shakeology, and that helps balance everything. And then I add a little bit of peanut butter for sweet or for that savory taste. But you just gotta learn, like cauliflower is very good. I'm Hispanic. I love my rice. I love it.
Cauliflower though.
but I do cauliflower now. Pasta, I still eat pasta, but every once in a while most of the time I try to switch it to like spaghetti, squash. Oh, it's so good. You just stick it in the oven,
Or zucchini
let it
squash.
out, and you can just scrape out.
What? That's how zucchini squash.
Would you say
My brain.
that a keto diet would be good for someone who might be pre-diabetic or fully? Because I've read that that's actually a good.
It's a good diet. But at the same time, like you should definitely talk to your doctor before you do any crazy thing. Just let y'all know. But they said that keto diets are really good for diabetics because it's low carb. That is our biggest thing, is that they don't want you to completely like cut out every single carb out there, but they want you to eliminate it because you still do need some sugar, because there are, like I said, there's still some of your cells that do have the lucky lock to open to get some. But for me, I have sandwiches. What I do, instead of having regular bread, I usually get hot dog buns, scrape a little bit out inside out, and then I just put my meat, my cheese. I use Vietnamese because my daughter's allergic to eggs, so it's kind of like mayonnaise. It tastes just like it. It's good for your heart too, and it has a lot of omega. But I did that, and that's how I eat my carb bread. Usually, like if I want pasta, try to go the veggie way, or if I do go and get pasta, portion it out. Don't eat like a big giant bowl, because like for my weakness is watermelon. I love watermelon. I could sit there and eat a whole day watermelon by myself. I have done it before I had diabetes. I have done it. Now I have to be like, okay, this is all I get for today. And I get so mad. I'm like, dang, but I really want the one fridge. What that portion instead, this small. And it's just, you have to exercise. Exercise is important.
Yeah.
Keep moving around. I do have my bad days where I don't want to do anything at all because my energy is so low. I actually, it gets worse during the winter because I want to pass out. But like I said, there's so much information for diabetes. Go to the American Diabetes Association. I probably will set up a fundraiser for that soon. So you guys could, donate if you guys want to or not. It just helps for us to find everything.
Okay.
So
we will have a link down in the description for that, right? Yeah.
yes.
So yeah.
All right, you guys. So we had a great discussion today. We talked about health. We talked about parenting. We talked about everything. Astroworld. Thank you guys. So promotions, of course, like I said before, I have my book out, and it's a puppy journey, Rampest World, and my blog, QueenPedieWrites.com. And anybody else?
I have my Beachbody Energizer. You take 1 scoop of this, put in about 8 to 12 ounces of water, and you will have enough energy for your workout and for the rest of your day. It's magical.
All right. Anyone else?
Keep watching the show. We thank you for watching this. We hope that this generates and spark discussions for y'all, most definitely. And if you're if you're like any type of the terrible parenting we described in here, there's a special place in hell for you.
Yes.
Amen on that.
And adopt your pets. Don't buy from a kennel. Adopt them.
Oh, she just read me fulfilled, honey. I ain't buying from Kennel, but anybody else want to promote?
Fred Hampton left us on YouTube. They're doing a 3-day over this weekend conference on YouTube. It's like 12 hours long, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. about a general strike summit, about how to do a long-term general strike to actually, bring changes for everyday workers. On Monday, if you're in New York, there's going to be an Occupy Pfizer die-in to help promote things like Medicare for All and actually doing something for people who are dying every year because they can't afford medication. And we've seen with the vaccine rollout that there is a way that people could actually get those medications that they need for free, even though we want to use medication as the bridge and then go to more holistic living. And then in the future, I'm going to be doing essays for people. I'll be promoting that more next week, but love this session. I love y'all.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. See you guys next Friday.
Good night, y'all.
Good night, y'all.
This is not your normal discussion where we talk all about the hard topics uncensored. It's still titled Discretion. This is not your normal discussion.